Hello, hello, everybody, and happy, what day is it? Because we've had such a holiday week, I don't know. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Art of Inspired Selling, where I interview successful B2B entrepreneurs that are not just surviving in the new normal, but they're actually thriving. And what they're going to do is they're going to bring their expertise, their subject matter expertise live to you so that you can also not just survive in the new normal, but thrive, which is the goal of the whole Art of Inspired Selling. So today I have a guest that I am going to introduce to you. Her name is Kim Boudreau Smith, and I'm going to read her bio as I do with everybody else. So throughout decades spanning career, crossing a myriad of job descriptions and industry, Kim Smith has achieved success because she pays attention and develops her bold voice. Boy, we all need to embrace that, right? Kim provides support and encouragement coupled with strategy and tools to help other women develop their own bold voice and show up in the world all through their voice. Often referred to as a multimedia maven, Kim has experience on a multitude of platforms where she expresses her bold voice. Performing as a dancer since she was 7 helps Kim feel comfortable on an international stage, sharing her hard-won wisdom. Not only a former radio station owner and host of a weekly show to a global audience, Kim is a frequent guest on radio and podcasts all over the world and here on the Art of Inspired Selling. So now I'm going to bring Kim to you, where we can learn more about her. We can get into some beautiful things about how we can learn about sharing our bold voice. And now I bring to you Kim Boudreau Smith. Am I pronouncing your name right?
Oh my gosh, Kathryn, you are so spot on with my last name. You are good. Not only are you good with my last name, but you are so good with technology. I'm impressed.
You know, and is my picture crooked? It's my camera that's crooked, I think, today. You guys, I have a new art piece, and we're sharing that back there a little bit. Now, see, technology maybe, but art hanging not so good. Okay, so welcome, Kim, to the show. It's so nice to have you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I love your new art piece. I love
Isn't that great?
It is so cool, but that art piece is really pretty.
Thank you so much. Yes, I fell in love with this. I went to a store and this woman had a whole collection and I wanted every one of them, of course. But this piece is actually on it's on a 2x4 frame and it's painted directly on wood. So it's a super heavy piece that has some chain holding it up. So I'm really happy to bring it to our backdrop. But let's talk about you. So, as you know, the ticket to come on the Art of Inspired Selling is we want to hear from you what inspires you to get up every day and win. Do you have a book, a saying, a mantra? What do you use every day that helps you just succeed?
Oh gosh, there's a lot of things, Kathryn, that I do. I'm a very early riser. I'm like, if I sleep in past 5 a.m., I've slept in. Half the day is gone after 5 a.m. So I get up, I have a routine. I have 2 dogs. We don't have children. I take care of them and they go back to bed after that. That's how I've trained them. And then I sit down with my cup of coffee, my protein bar. I have a couple books right now that I'm reading. I have a couple daily scriptures that I'm on round year 3 with a couple of these books. I just close them and just start them over. And I'm reading a couple books right now. So that will help. A lot of times I just sit and I will reflect on what has happened on the day before. But one of the things that I did 12 years ago when I fell asleep at a major intersection red light in the middle of the day. The first thing I did to change that up was the next morning when I woke up before my feet hit the ground and I went running, just take off out of bed at 5 a.m. was I opened up my eyes and I went, wow, I'm so grateful to be alive and have drywall over my head. And that was a huge turning point for me.
Besides a little echoey today, let's see if I can still work on this. So yeah, so one of the things I try to do is the same thing. When I wake up in the morning, if I can find a few gratitudes, like, can I breathe? Yep. Is my face there? Can I smile? Yep. Can my feet hit the ground, in like a civilized either carpet or tile? Yep. Okay, then I'm winning, right? I'm winning today. If there's nothing else I can find to be grateful for, I try to find those three things to make sure that I can share my gratitude with myself in the morning and feel grounded. So I love that we have that in common. And also, so tell me, where are you coming live from today?
I just outside of Detroit, Birmingham, Michigan, suburb of Detroit, and it's chilly here today.
Wow, the change of season has happened, huh?
Yes, it really has. It feels good. Feels good.
It does, but I'm sure you're not really looking forward to that -0 weather in about a couple months. Let's not even talk about it.
Are we going to have? I'm in complete denial. No.
Yeah, let's not even go through that. Here in San Diego, we have those fires that are happening, and the whole outside has this. If I look a little weird today, the light is orange glow. It's really an interesting day. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, other than the wonderful bio that you sent and we were able to read. How is it that, what are you doing right now to be so successful? How are you engaging with women to help them share their big, bold voice? What is your day-to-day routine with working with customers or clients?
Well, right now I'm doing a lot of one-on-one coaching. I'm right in the middle of revamping all my services. So when we went into quarantine back in March, my business was very physical. It was out and about networking. I had a curriculum that I was partnering with a place right here in my backyard, so to speak. And when we went into quarantine, I literally stood here like a little queen with her tiara tilted, with her hands on her hips, going, "Oh, my programs are for in-person only," because that's where the miracles and the magic happens when we're working with women as they're stepping into their bolder voices. I don't need to change. And we're only going to be here a month. Well, 6 months later, I stopped the classes. We ran the classes out, and I decided to pull back, this is not an arena that I'm used to being in, of slowing down, because let's do, let's get, let's go. I'm an
action.
Yep, I'm an ex-high-impact aerobic instructor. Let's go, let's do. So I'm in the process of revamping my services, but right now I'm doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, just helping women really become more confident in becoming visible and speaking and representing themselves, whether it's as an executive or whether it's someone like you and I as entrepreneur and business owners.
Mm-hmm. And that's so important. To first of all, find your voice, right? We talk about that when we do some personal branding, like, what do you stand for? What do you stand against? And then once you find that voice, how do you become brave enough to not have imposter syndrome or whatever it is to go public with it, right? To speak it. And I always joke with my own self. We have lots of conversations, but I have this inside voice and this outside voice. And if they could ever get on the same page and speak, right, with the power that they have, it would just be awesome. And we all work on that. So today we're going to talk, we have a couple of bullet points that we're going to go through, where the first one we're going to talk about is step bolder into your real, honest, truly authentic voice, whatever your stage of life, which is so important, right? Because 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, like, there's so many different aspects of life and things that you can step into, out of your head and into your heart, and not to be afraid of doing so. There's so much packed into that. Let's unpack that just to start with and talk about, how do you work with people? What are the first kind of steps that you do to be able to tackle that first statement?
Well, one of the very first areas that I like to tackle is one of those voices that you were talking about. I call her the inner critic. I call her the hag in the attic. And in my arena, there are two. Well, first of all, there are multiple inner voices. She's just the conductor of all the voices that are going on. I mean, she's up there managing, and she's rocking on that rocking chair, with her cigarette and her martini. Of course, all the stuff that I buy for her. And so she's the one that is orchestrating everything and maneuvering everything. She's the one that says, oh, really, you think you're really worthy of walking into Ford Motor Company and speaking when you haven't been in corporate America in over 20 years? That's that hag in the attic. And then there's a second voice that I have not talked a lot about, and I call her the mama bear. And it's the mama bear where the mama bear says, oh, Kathryn, that's okay. You missed that email and didn't follow through. You know what? You're still beautiful and miraculous, And so that hagmatic's sitting back and she's doing this, smoking her cigarette, drinking her martini, going, yep, I trained those other voices well. But the true, authentic voice is where our heart's desire, getting into our intuition, our gut, whatever there you want to call it. So it's beginning with self-awareness. I mean, if you have to have self-awareness and then tackling that inner critic. By the way, the inner critic never goes away. We just want to make her our ally so that we're managing her and she's not controlling us. So I'm going to say that again. So we're managing her and she's not controlling us.
And I have a saying, I hope nobody else can hear the feedbacks today. So if I could I've touched my microphone and I shouldn't have touched it, but I always say you have to know yourself to grow yourself, right? Yeah. So you really need to know, you need to sit with the old hag and the mama bear, and you need to be able to watch a movie with them, right? and get along and know who's going to eat popcorn like a pig and who's going to eat it one kernel at a time, right? So, but right, getting to know, and then, I'll even pull in the for me would be the little girl, right? The inner child. She's a whole nother subject matter expert looming around in there. Man, we're busy. We have busy heads. So how do we pull them all together and everybody gets on the same page?
Well, that takes a lot of work. And by the way, that is never completed until we leave this physical human body suit. So I want to say, ladies, lose the perfection, because it has nothing to do with perfection. This is all about progress. And one of the things I'm a huge proponent on is daily self-care. And what I mean by daily self-care, not just massages, manicures, and pedicures, and by the way, sign me up for all of that. I'm talking daily internal self-care, having those dialogues with your inner critic and, that little child and that mama bear. So that healthy adult, your healthy, true, authentic voice is driving the bus, so to speak, is leading the troops. Is really speaking that. Now, that doesn't mean you won't ever go down. I like to call it a rabbit hole. I try to, when I get close to the rabbit hole, I know how to pull back. I could, get on the phone, get with the tribe, have all my tools, but I don't like being in that rabbit hole because it's hard to get back out.
It is.
It's never going, it's not saying things like, oh, I'm never going near that rabbit hole again. Or, it's managing that voice. I mean, I hear from women all the time, oh, when I speak, my muscle here cramps up and then my voice cracks. And I want you to know, Kathryn, their voice is not cracking. It's all that baggage in the head that is going off. It's that behind the stage before the production, the behind the stage of what's going on before we raise the curtains when the spotlight comes on us. We have to learn how to manage all of that. And I'm a big proponent of daily self-care.
So give us some examples of what we could do for self-care other than a martini and a cigar. Might sound really good, but we can't exactly do that in the morning. We could.
You know what? You and I are 3 hours apart. We may have to schedule a that would be. I just want to do that one time. Have a martini for breakfast. By noon, that would be it. I would be gone. But I'm a big one. I get outside and walk. My vibe takes place in nature. I love nature. Like, for an example, we don't have children. I've got a 9 and a 4-year-old black lab. My 9-year-old black lab, she's my nature hiking buddy. She loves being out there. I'm walking by little trails and she's dragging me down the trails, so I love getting out into nature and reconnecting. And there's something about fresh air. So I walk all year round, even in that sub-zero weather. As long as there's not ice on the ground, I'm out there walking all year round, or as long as there's not lightning. So things like that, journaling, meditation. And I love talking about meditation, Kathryn, because there are so many ways to meditate, and you don't have to meditate. Like, I don't know if you can see behind me, my little dog statue with the legs crossing the fingers, you don't have to sit like that. A meditation, like for me, is when I'm out in the wood, nature. Meditation would be over a martini where you're just taking some deep guttural breaths and you're just sitting there and just being. So there's a lot of things that we can do. Reading, like I said, journaling some thoughts, a lot of things that we can do. There's no traditional way of meditating. I just say, do you find what works for you and try different things, because I don't journal every day. I just journal when I get in the mood, so just try different things.
And I have a morning routine as well. Waking up and meditating. I've broken a little bit out of my habit, but I do guided meditation with Headspace.
Yeah.
It depends. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 20 minutes. It could be a beginning. If I can't get clear, it could be a beginner's meditation, or it could be more an advanced where it's 20 minutes and I'm like almost falling back asleep because I'm so clear, which is really awesome. And then making my bed every morning and then journaling. And I do that same thing. I drink matcha green tea lattes and I go outside. And that's where some of my phone calls start happening. Is people will get a phone call from me while I'm just doing a walk, because I'll be thinking, I'm like, oh, I need to call that person, or I need to message that person. And I do the same thing. So I'm glad that we also share that. Maybe that's why we found each other.
I know. And plus, you've got some great hiking areas. We were just out there in your stomping ground earlier this year, and you and I talked about that. But, another thing, too, is I hear a lot of people when they take showers, because our skin is the largest organ in our body. When that water is penetrating the skin, a lot of people will come out of a shower with some phenomenal ideas. So, again, make sure either you have that memory to be able to jot down what those phenomenal ideas are in the shower, or have something nearby to record, to record yourself.
Does anybody else do that? Sometimes I do my best math in the shower. I have a thought, and then all of a sudden, because my shower's glass, like I'm writing math equations and doing multiplication, and I'm in a mastermind group. And yesterday we had a call, and somebody just said, as I was getting out of the shower, we all started laughing, because I think everybody's been there. It's either while you're running, you have an idea, which I have a voice recorder for that, but it's getting into that state, Kim, that you were just saying, some state of repetition. Maybe you're running is your meditation, gardening is your meditation, doing dishes, cleaning floors, all of those things where you can have a repetitive task, walking in circles, whatever it is that helps you get clarity, right? A prayer, rosary beads, all of those things all lead to the same place.
Yep. Another thing I like, and I also teach women to do, it's really interesting.
I'm going to type some notes while you're talking to me, because we just built a long list, and people may say, oh, those are things I didn't even think about.
What were they? Another thing is to get back into your body. And a lot of women, and this is a societal thing, Kathryn, is, we're headspace. We're in our heads. We're heads. So then it's like we stop things here. We forget about our heart. We forget about our intuition. We forget that feeling. And some of those feelings, it's like, don't feel, sweep underneath the carpet. But another thing is, put some music on and shake your groove thing, sister. Start shaking. We're doing a lot of Zoomy stuff right now. And I don't know about any of you. I'm getting some Zoomy tushy from sitting between my calls. I got to get up. I got to walk. I have some brain gym exercises that I do to reconnect with my body. And sometimes I'll put on some Aretha Franklin, Motown, and just shake it. And that's something else also too, that women have a very hard time getting in and just letting themselves go. Just move. I mean, no one's watching, but dang, dance like the whole world is watching. I mean, or not, but move, just move.
So I'm a member of this group called Hera Hub, and when COVID first hit, we didn't really know what to do other than, women tend to need community and that connection. So we would have Zoom meetings just to get together. Maybe it was happy hour, and someone would play music, and everybody would just get up and maybe close their eyes and dance. And the first time it happened, I was like, nah, not going to happen. I'm just going to watch all these women dance. And then all of a sudden, maybe my hip was shaking a little bit, my finger was tapping. And so then I don't know if it was the second time or when, but I decided, you know what, I'm just going to close my eyes and dance because I don't need to see anybody and nobody needs to see me. And you know what happened? I actually started crying.
Yeah.
And what happened was that it was a release that I wasn't expecting, and it must have been something that my body needed. Can you talk about that a little bit? Why do you think dancing would be a release for people?
Well, that's coming back into that awareness and that getting in tune to your body. That is coming from out of your head and getting past your throat, getting back into the heart and literally, feeling yourself. One of the things that one of my clients is going through, coming out of and I don't know about all your listeners and everyone listening, I've been here, where I've beat myself down, I've got this bold voice, but yet I turn around and it's like, you got a couple of rolls and what's, that lack of that self-compassion. Well, one of my clients, one of the things that she's doing, corporate mom, young kids, driven, is pausing and just hugging. And I don't know if you've ever tried this, but just these hands and just touching right here and just doing this is like such a nice nurturing blanket. So it's coming back into your body and literally waking that up and feeling what that is like. And that's when you experience that, you were cracking open some good juju there, girl.
Okay, everybody that's watching, let's do that. Let's let's hug ourselves, because maybe, what's happening as well for people in this COVID time is if you're single or you have a family and you're older and you've been quarantined, you're missing that human touch, right? So that could be so important for you to just feel the hug and feel that energy, that sympathetic nervous system that needs a little bit of love. So if you guys are hugging yourself and it feels good, we want to hear your shout out and how it made you feel. So let's move on just a little bit to our next point, which says to fully connect with your audience with confidence and power, fully visible to them with the courage of your heart's convictions. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So first of all, it comes back to connecting with yourself. If you're not connected with yourself, I don't care how good of a TED Talk you have or what is going on out there, sister, you will have a very difficult time connecting. And here's what I mean by connecting with the audience. Again, you can deliver the most well-prepared speech. And I just said well-prepared. I did not say memorized, even though if you are doing a TED Talk, there's a lot of memorization involved. Anything outside of a TED Talk, I'm not a proponent on memorizing because it keeps us in our head.
Yes.
It's in our head. And then if we forget something, we're in our head and we're going, oh darn, oh crap, what's going on? But coming back to really, truly connecting with your audience is really, it's that transparency of I see you, you see into me, that intimacy and opening up, and then being able to deliver your speech or a one-on-one conversation, or it could be a presentation, and really connecting so that your audience wants more. And when the audience wants more, I believe you've done major connection.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful? I left my phone somewhere. I apologize. There's noise in the background. If you guys hear that, I'm so sorry. And it's important. I would agree with you to know your slide deck, but to make sure that you're speaking on topics that you're passionate with, that you know inside and out, so that you deliver that information. And don't you think an audience can smell that out if you're just speaking from the heart and authentic and flowing versus that cadence move of making sure. And when you're first starting to speak on stage right now, I'm aware of people say, make sure that your voice after you speak, every sentence doesn't go up over and over again. And those type of things. And where are your hands? Are your hands clenched or down by your side, or where are they? There's so many things to
Yeah.
think about. But you have to start somewhere, and if you just do it, and you'll get better the second time, and you'll get better the third time, and don't worry about conquering Rome in one day with one talk, right?
Yes, absolutely. You just have to begin somewhere. I'm a big proponent as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is yes, starting somewhere, but also turning to the experts in the industry to also help you and support you as you are evolving and growing. I think it's so important because there is a lot when you are doing a presentation, or right now, I mean, we're loaded with Zoom. How do you engage people on Zoom? How do you keep them going so that in 15 minutes they're not checked out? Or delivering a TED Talk, how do you stand? How are you poised? How do you look? How do you do all that? I grew up dancing on a stage, and when you're on a stage dancing, your audience is pretty dark. It's just there. I mean, because the
Light, yeah.
Yeah. So the stage is dark, and boy, you have to be looking at that audience like you can see into their eyes, And so there's a lot of training around that, and anyone can do it. If it's a skill, a desire that you want to become skilled at, you can do it. Anybody can do it.
So tell us a little bit about your dancing career. What were you doing? Were you dancing as a little girl? Were you on stage for ballet, jazz, hip hop? What were you doing?
So first of all, my parents enrolled me in the local dance studio at the age of 7, which is considered late for studying dancing. So here's why they enrolled me. I laugh at this every time. I was a very shy child because I was also the child that was told you are to be seen and not heard. So then my parents labeled me as a shy child, so they enrolled me at the dance studio to help build my confidence and bring me out of my shyness. So talk about some double-edged sword standards going on there. However, being enrolled at 7, the lessons, I was just reflecting on my whole dance thing. I danced from 7 until I was 18, until I finished high school. It became my life. I went from 1 lesson to 2 lessons. I went from performing and competing and costumes and trophies and all the awards, all this. It built so much. It taught me so much, how to stand, how to be poised. We had to earn our way when I got to a certain level within the studio. I went and I had approached my teacher and the owners of, okay, I want to do a solo now. And that solo is, I want a choreography. Well, you have to have permission. You had to do it, try out, so it was interesting what they taught me through all of that, for what I'm applying to business.
Yes. I have my kids that have been doing the same thing with hockey, right? And I even think in baseball we had to sign something that says there's only one coach, parents, and you need to let your children learn how to interact with another adult in an authoritative manner that doesn't hurt their feelings, and you have to get a piece of leather and bite on it at times to let them know how to handle confrontation with there's just so much you can learn, right, in extracurricular activities. And our kids today have had a little bit of a setback not being able to interact with all those things, but maybe they're learning those things on video games. I'm not sure. Is there a video game coach out there that maybe that's what they watch without screaming on YouTube all the time? I don't know.
Oh my God, a video coach out there for kill. Oh my God,
I just created a new job for somebody. Come on.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's go to our third bullet point where we really want to talk about further growing and owning your power. So tell us, you're coaching people about finding your bold voice. We've talked first about self-care on a daily practice, right? Not just on Sundays where you're doing face masks and bubble baths and wine and candles and music, although that's one of my favorite things. What are some other things that you teach people to find that deep, bold voice? Maybe it's not deep, maybe it's high.
Well, there's so much around to that deep, bold voice. First of all, one of the things I like to say is discovering that deep, bold voice on your term. Discover that bold voice on your term. It's like discovering success on your term. Success is such a personal thing. And to say to everybody out there that owns a business, especially women, let's just talk specifically to women, and it's women that I specifically work with, is every woman that is an entrepreneur and every woman that is in corporate America, you need to discover that voice of yours and speak up. Speak up. And again, that's where that hag in the attic is going to come in. Oh, your ideas are not the greatest, or who's going to be listening to you? Why bother? Don't bother. Why bother? So in order to even go even more confident and get deeper with that voice is you really have to come back to behind that stage and start managing those other bolder voices, because we get a choice. We get what bold voice you want, this one that you're hearing or the one inside the head. So that's a few of the things that I will work with. A lot of the other things is teaching women power stances. And I'm going to, power stance. And by the way, it's not a hands on the hips where you're trying to dominate people. There's a true power stance. And we can also do power stances as we're scanning the room. Like before you go into a networking event, there's power stances that you could do. So I teach that. And one of my other favorite things is, getting women, it's going back to that dancing. Loosen up, shake it, loosen up. It's almost like doing a hokey pokey, just shake it.
Chicken dance.
Chicken dance, yeah. And loosen all that up so that all the nerves and the feelies and the sensations that are going on up here, they don't go away, but they come back down so that you're leveraging them when you are speaking, whether it is in a meeting with your manager, your team leader, or you're approaching a sales call with a potential customer. Breathing deep breaths to get all of this managed so that you are saying what you want to say. You're leaving a conversation on that delivery of what you have decided. The outcome may not be what you want, but you delivered, you spoke up, as opposed to walking out, which I did this in corporate a lot. I wouldn't speak up, and I would walk out, and then you're walking down the hall back to the office going, damn it, why didn't I speak up? And then you start kicking yourself. And then, the uneasiness of the disease of dis-ease with yourself starts kicking in. So speaking up.
What can happen to people, what I worked a lot of years, 30 years in corporate America. And a lot of times was one of the only women at the boardroom table. And most recently worked with kind of a company that I would say something and I'd get chastised for it always. And so I almost started just getting quiet, right? And so then I would have conversations with myself in the boardroom and not really be myself, because that's when that inside voice really would play out. So I'm happy that you're working with women to understand how to handle that, because a lot of times I would want to say, is it me? Can I just not articulate how I feel? Or do I always have to worry about what I'm going to say so that I'm not chastised afterwards? As women, as we start to rise in ranks, right now I'm just such a big proponent for diversity and inclusion. And I just had a client, we were talking about including equity in that. But I'm happy that you're helping women, right? Yeah. That they need to understand, we need to understand that our voice needs to be heard. We don't have to be stifled. We need to speak our voice. We need to speak how we feel. Our ideas need to be valued. And if we can't work in an environment where those things are honored and valued and respected and lifted up, then it's not the culture where you're going to be able to thrive, and it's time to exit. Don't get stuck on the money. Find some place where you can just thrive and be beautiful and lean into your femininity and your skill sets and everything that you've worked for, and not be stifled.
Yes, I agree. It's being able to move through those power and those moments of that silence and breaking that silence. I'm a big proponent of the power of pause. Boy, that power of pause can be, that could be a very powerful tool, but as long as you're pausing and not slipping into the silence and pulling back and saying, gosh, every time I do open up my mouth, I am ridiculed, or every time I do open my mouth, I'm not valued. That's something where it's time to check back in. And are you not valuing yourself? And
so relevant.
And being able to and be curious and ask questions, especially if you are the only woman in a boardroom, or there could be other women in the boardroom with men that maybe are holding back of supporting others in there, because those dynamics are still existence in America. And it's being able to just breathe, use that power of the pause, and lean in and really start getting curious and asking questions, and just turn around and just simply say, what did you mean by that? Okay. What's meant? Yeah, what do you mean by that? As opposed to going on that assumption, shutting down, literally shutting down, and then not speaking up.
Yes. My younger self would have had that pause and not the knee-jerk reaction. And there's so much, ladies, that you can learn from someone like Kim. So I encourage you, if you're second guessing yourself in the boardroom, or you want to get to the boardroom, find somebody that you can talk to that can help you articulate your thoughts and bring your emotions to the boardroom. Don't leave them in your office unless learn how to use them. Learn how to use them to your advantage, to help the company, to help the client. People connect with your emotions, right?
Absolutely. Don't hold yourself back. And it's needed more than ever. Gosh, the dynamic and the climate that we are in, in this 21st century, and then this interesting 2020 year, we need to be heard.
Yes.
So I say, speak it, sister. Speak it. Speak it.
Speak it. Let's do it. So before we do any wraps, are there any other points that you'd like to deliver to make sure that everything that you teach is being stated today? If there's anybody that needs some things to grab a hold of today, are there any other things that you'd like to tell the audience?
Well, I just want every single woman out there to expand her heart and really expand her voice, because it really does start within the heart. And, Kathryn, you said earlier, just a moment ago, about feminine energy. We all have feminine and masculine energy, but it's learning how to shift and approach and respond from the feminine energy and blend in that masculine energy, but shifting and approaching and responding from the feminine energy. And that goes, by the way, for men too, because they have both. So I just really want all the women out there, if you are struggling with confidence, because you either have confidence or you don't. So you can't have it on Kathryn's show and then Kathryn's top and then you don't have it. That doesn't work that way. And if you're struggling with it, having the addict, the inner critic, and imposter syndrome, ladies, you are still holding yourself back. You're still holding yourself back. You're not doing things on your terms. And if you're worried about my other thing we didn't talk about, the OPOs, other people's opinions, you are still holding yourself back.
Yeah, I'm working with a few coaches right now, and we were talking about so one of the sayings that I had, and you guys, profanity happens on this show, so just get used to it. So we were saying, she had asked me, is there a saying that resonates with you? And I had adopted somebody else's saying, which was, I don't have enough F-bombs to give. I'll just say, I don't have any more fucks to give in this world, so just accept me for who I am. And she was just saying to me, is that really you? Is that really you? Are you embracing somebody else's statement? I had to stop and think that I had adopted somebody else's statement that really didn't resonate with me, because I'm light and lovely and about love and my hearts, and, dropping F-bombs about other people doesn't really describe me. So hopefully working with somebody like you would help somebody come into their own and their own voice and the words that would really describe them, right? So that they can be their authentic self and live out loud, right?
Yeah.
This beautiful voice that has no shame and states, and we all make mistakes, and that's okay.
Yes, they're all lessons to be learned, those mistakes. And one of the things I do like to say to women when they're looking at me and going, well, I can't find my voice. One of my analogies I like to use is take a organic vegan piece of soft caramel and just put it in your mouth and mill it around and let it melt and let it, feel those sensations and caramelize on things for a bit. And sometimes that will take people and go, oh, yes, now I'm getting it. Don't you like how I bring, like, what we were talking about martinis earlier, and now I'm to the sweets. We're bringing food into all of this, but
vegan, gluten-free sweets.
yes, yes.
And for me, now lactose-free, vegan, gluten-free, like California people. I don't know. Just put a piece of candy in your mouth and describe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Kathryn, it is for women to discover themselves and not to pick up something, else. I mean, Oscar Wilde, my favorite quote, be you. Everyone else is flipping taking. And I added the flipping in there, everyone else. And if it is F-bombs that is part of your vibe, then okay, it is part of your vibe. If it is not, then why are you adopting it? It's find your groove, find your bold. With courage and bravery, just find it.
Yes. Such a good message. Okay, so you guys, I think we don't have anything else to talk about today, but Kim, tell people where they would find you. We did have in the show notes some of your information, but do you have any upcoming group sessions, or is it just one-on-one? Or tell people how they can find you if they want to reach out, executive coaching, entrepreneur coaching, solopreneur coaching, whatever it is. How can they find you?
They can come on over to my website at kimbossy.com. And yes, I am in the process of launching a 3-month group coaching, how to really step in and own your voice and speak up. So that is coming out too. So stay tuned. If you do want to get more information about that, just reach out to me on my website, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Kim Boudreau Smith on LinkedIn as well. And we'll be making announcements around that. Like I said, I'm in the midst of revamping all my services.
Right. Well, we just put that there, so it's in the show notes, and people can find you on LinkedIn. That's how I found you.
Yeah.
Yes, those keywords, guys. Those keywords matter. All right. So stay put, Kim. I'll do a wrap for the show. Thanks to everybody. On this coming Friday, which is Patriot Day, we have a veteran coming up to talk about how he helps with mindset. And I thought it was really great to have that person on the show on this day when we're reflecting a little bit about what's happened in our past. We're in another emotionally charged time, and mindset is so important, right? How you think through things, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So let's make sure that we're all positive with a positive mindset. And thank you so much for tuning into the show. We're here. We're live on Facebook, Twitter. We're on not LinkedIn yet, but we're on YouTube, and we stream to our website as well. Thank you so much. We'll talk to everybody soon. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday, same time, same back channel.